Is my screen
Yeah.
visible? Like, yeah.
Yes, it looks good.
Okay, great.
Shall we go ahead for the presentation?
Yes, please begin when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sangram. Our topic for this presentation is reduce greenhouse gas emission by 40% in Manila, Philippines by 2030. There are numerous global climate change negotiations. However, Paris Agreement in 2015 was milestone in the history of international climate change negotiation, where 196 countries agreed on the objective of limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, if possible 1.5 degrees Celsius. Philippines commits to reduce greenhouse gas emission to 75% by 2030. And to achieve that goal, Philippines plans to get support of 72.29% with the help of international support and remaining 2.71% from utilizing their own resources. Next slide, please.
It's already on the next slide.
That is so slow. You see the picture of Manila. Both are the pictures of Manila, and like you see one picture that's beautiful, organized, and other is unplanned, crowded, and slum area. Next slide.
Sangram, we're on the next slide.
Yeah, I think the net is a little bit unstable in the region, so.
Sangin, we're on the next slide, so please proceed even if you can't see it with your notes.
Yeah, okay, sir. Due to urbanization, there is massive population growth. So in this more development and there is increase in green gas emission, the result is Manila is getting hotter every day. The annual Manila is second most populous city in Philippines and Manila city with the highest population density in the world. Two major contributing sector for increase in CO2 is power and transportation sector. As we see, there is like 26% from direct emission That is from transportation sector. So if we replace with electric vehicle, we can reduce emission from transportation. These are the key issues in Manila: unplanned urbanization and growth, high population density, land use changes, extreme floods and storms, solid waste problem, water pollution, water quality problem, air pollution, unchecked greenhouse gas emissions. There is increase of 1.7 degree to 3 degrees Celsius by 2015 in Philippines. It would increase the climate risk. So Trisha, can you please start the next slide?
Okay. For aims and objectives, our primary goal is reducing the greenhouse gas emissions by 40% in 2030. So this will be done by focusing on two key areas, the urban design and the transport sector. So to implement our target for 2030, we identified the following stakeholders and their possible contributions to the project. For urban design, we identified schools and universities and their role in research and development. So the academic institutions in Manila can also provide capacity building activities in the form of trainings and workshops on sustainable development. Non-government organizations can help in establishing a partnership between the community, the government, private businesses, and other stakeholders to share and provide resources to implement these projects. So they can promote and encourage citizen participation during tree planting and cleanup programs. The government agencies also play a significant role in establishing and implementing policies for eco-urban design and development for greener spaces, as well as providing funding to implement these policies and programs. They also aid in encouraging cooperation between public and the private sectors. So aside from this, the private sector will also play a significant role in cooperation in providing the necessary resources, particularly manpower, equipment, and funding to develop a greener community. And lastly, we have the public sector, whose active participation in activities and programs is necessary for the program's success. So we also identified stakeholders which can help in addressing key issues and assisting in implementation for the transport sector. So for schools and universities, once again, we acknowledge the role in research and development. So they will be developing the applications for traffic and transport monitoring, as well as EV-based mobile transport. And the NGOs will play a significant role in developing the similar applications, as well as expanding our EV-based mobile transport, considering their ability to provide funding for development and implementation. So they can also increase the engagement using their social media pages. Government agencies will remain important stakeholders by establishing and implementing policies and plans for the transport sector and providing funding for fundamental infrastructure development and expansion of the EV-based mobile transport through the subsidies. And the government agencies can also serve as a bridge to encourage partnership between the public and the private transport companies. So the private sector will cooperate the partnership formed by the public and the private transport companies, and they can also assist in expanding the mobile transport by providing cheap materials to develop the transport vehicles. And then for the public, they will contribute again an active participation through surveys and use of public transportation. The intergovernmental organizations such as the United Nations will play an important role in providing the aid for training, policy making, and funding through the Green Climate Fund. So we hope to achieve our objectives by following this timeline. By 2023, we hope to have identified and established partnership with the stakeholders. So this ensures that policies are made and implemented and awareness programs have been conducted. In 2024, we hope to conduct capacity building activities with our partners in the academic sector. And then we also hope to see infrastructural changes and expansion of the EV as a public transport in Manila following the policy implementation from the government agencies. And in 2025, we will be conducting a framework review and public survey to assess the effectiveness of the programs we have laid out. And then these findings, the progress and achievements will be made public. And then we will also be continuing the progress in capacity building and the awareness programs. So by in 2027, we hope to see positive behavioral changes, including transformed infrastructure and expansion of the public transport using electronic vehicles. And we hope that by 2040, we will be able to achieve the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 40% here in Manila.
Along, let me continue my part. As my teammate describes an issue, those are the implementation strategies to reduce carbon emissions. So, still with the stakeholder management as the first strategy. So, based on that, partnerships and engagement with them. So, policy monitoring, evaluations, and also monitoring and maintenance. So, that is important. Just like the monitoring the public green building code, whether the communities will be adapted or not is important. Also, research and development collaboration, electronic vehicle, disaster resilience, and data solution is also included in research and development collaboration. Next slide, please. So, funding is also important to consider the strategy. So, whether we can get a fund like the public, private, or the other NGOs like the Green Climate Fund, it is so important like the international collaboration, also infrastructure. It's like that the infrastructure changes is expanding more public transport infrastructure. Like I people can use more variety of public access, like the electronic vehicle, train, bus, bicycle lanes, and green building they can access. Also, the next important strategy is a public engagement. That is very important. Whenever like the decision makers and policy makers, they have a goal, but if that is not without people involvement, they cannot be achieved. So that is important. So that's include also like the creative work project to monitor the people and also partner with the local communities, like the creating reverse scan for the people's communities, and just like the create culture of the sustainable culture, sustainable curriculum. That's all include. So let me continue that outputs and outcome slides. So based on the Philippines and DC data, so we focus on the two sectors. So the urban design and transport sector. For the urban design, so the output is a master plan of the Manila city that is in line with the existing city development strategy of the Manila. In addition, there's a billion call for the safety and disaster resilient infrastructure that does to measure the eco-friendly cities or not. Also, transport sector is also similar with the urban design. So start with also like the policies and plans for the transport sector, and also fundamental infrastructure. That's a charging station for the electronic vehicle, bicycle lanes, and also include the application for the traffic and public transport control for the people, and also the many creative space of the expansion of electronic vehicles and increase the accessibility of the people. So the outcomes are people living in the Manila city defeat the city is an eco-friendly city. So more people will have disaster resilient infrastructure, green recreation space, more use of electronic vehicle, more use of bicycle walk. The last one is that the air quality is clean and defeated. So the next output is public awareness and engagement. So that's the sustainable development include the radio, TV programs, and social media. And secondly, they have 2 types of journalists and on ground. So the outcome is public engagement and policy making and people interest. So I will hand over to Jyothi.
So let's look into the expected challenges and also how we can mitigate them. Starting with the slum urban infrastructure transformation. So our goal is to not displace the communities, but we need to improve their way of living. So one best area would be effective outreach and awareness programs, and then area-based rehabilitation, starting from small scale and expanding it in the future. Then the public interest in EVs with respect to the costs. So by improving the subsidies or providing zero interest loans on EVs can garner public interest in transitioning to EVs. Then we have the expansion of public transport infrastructure. So we would like to add new bike lanes or new roads. So this should be in line with the city infrastructure itself. So clear demarcation of area expansion and stepwise implementation can mitigate this challenge. Then we have the public interest in sustainability. So if we want a positive behavioral change in the public mindset regarding decarbonization, we need to improve the education by making it more creative and improve the awareness campaigns and provide a rewarding system to encourage the communities into participating into such activities. Then we have the funding. As we saw that about a huge part of the Philippines commitment in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions is conditional. A big contributor would be the funds. So by getting international aid and also by managing the government budget can help mitigate this challenge. So now we have our policies that we have implemented. So how do we check them and how do we monitor them on basis of what indicators? So let's get into that. So we have a governing body that will be monitoring, evaluating, and reviewing the policy in a periodical fashion based on the performance of the policies with the different indicators. So let's look into the different indicators. So we have the SDG targeted indicators, mainly in the areas of sustainable cities and climate action. So starting with the sustainable cities, we have the proportion of urban populations that are living in slums. So we need to compare the before and after the introduction of the new infrastructure. Then we have the proportion of population that has convenient access to public transport after we reform the current transport area. Then we have the total greenhouse gas emissions per year to monitor the percentage reductions and to make the forecasts. Then also the educational extent to which such sustainable development policies have been pushed forth by the government. And then we have the number of government institutions or centers of excellence that come together to form a common knowledge portal to have a transparency and also to inform the public of the different issues or the different achievements or progress made by the policies thus far. Then we have the number of communities that have access to such information hubs that are effectively engaging in the decarbonization activities in the city. Then we have the number of public transport projects that are achieving the transit-oriented development. Then we have the proportion of population using the EVs and the new public transport system along with the bicycles using the app data. Then we have the number of critical local infrastructures that have been assessed based on their disaster resilience performance and how they have been retrofitted. And then there is the percentage increase in the city greening based on the number of new greening of the buildings or opening of new green parks. Then we have the public or private bodies and how they are complying and how many of them are complying with the greenhouse gas emissions reporting requirement. And finally, we have the percentage increase in new investments that will push forth such policies in the long run. So we are group 4 and this is our target of choosing selected areas of Manila to implement the decarbonization and achieve a 40% reduction in the greenhouse gas emissions in Manila by 2030. Thank you so much.